This is Money, Motivation, and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of all the controls is Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that can and will change your life. You can contact us at info@mx3.vip or find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new content, which Jason puts out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. Jason, last week we talked about the signs of a leader and the person that is at the top of the hub that may not even know that they're there. But when they are, they're already doing leadership things. And a lot of people run into that they do not realize that they are the leader. And then eventually, hopefully, that dust will be dusted off and uncovered, and you will become the actual leader in your mind and in your soul. But here's another set of things that you don't realize. And when we know the working force is 80% of us in the world, and what that means is you have a career, you have a job, and you answer to someone else. And I know we all answer to someone, whether it's the customer or the boss, the manager, whatever it is. But I'm talking right now about the 80% of the people who makes up the workforce around the world. And that is the 16 harsh career truths. There are things that go on in your career, or things that go on in your job at your workplace that maybe you understand, maybe you don't understand. And on a poll that was taken, 230,923 people said they did not understand the harsh career truths. And I don't know how many were polled. You're talking almost 300,000 people, a 250,000 people on this particular, and I'm getting my information from LinkedIn on the insights of this particular post. But it's the 16 harsh career truths. Learn these before it's too late. Number 1, your boss is not your friend. Your boss's priorities won't always align with yours. You have to maintain your boundary. Okay. Now, I go back as a person who leads people, has led people, and will continue to do that. I have a really good relationship with all the people that are a part of the team. And you notice I did not say work for me. My employees. I don't use any of those words. I use the word team. Obviously, someone's name's got to be on the front door. But your boss is not your friend. That is correct. Your boss is not your friend at the office. I'm very interested in helping my folks with any of their issues that they have inside and outside the workplace. And we all have major things outside the workplace. 168 hours in a week, Jason, isn't that right? 168?
You're the math guy.
Yeah, I know, but I can't add. 168 hours, and 40 of those, roughly, you spend in the workplace. So there's another 128 hours that you spend outside the workplace, which affects the things that go on in the workplace. And that is your private and personal life. So 3/4 of your time is on other things besides your job. So when you come to work, you have to shut those things out. And when you don't shut them out, that's when you become and have issues with the so-called boss. And that's what it means, is the boss is not your friend. I'm very passionate about all of my team in what they do after 5 o'clock, because you want them to live a fulfilled life. There are a whole lot of people, there are a whole lot of jobs, there's a whole lot of workforces. Your boss is not your friend. They don't even care if you have enough money to get a Coke and a candy bar at break, etc. but your boss's priorities won't always align with yours. You have to maintain your boundaries, just like the person at the top has to maintain their boundaries with you. You got to know when you can sit here and chit chat about the ball game, and you got to know when it's time to get your finger and get to business. Number 2, effort alone is not enough. You need to work hard on the right things and in a visible way. Effort alone is not enough. Got to use your brain too. You go out there and be the hardest worker digging the ditch, but if you don't dig the ditch correct, it's not going to work out. Number 3, and I relate that back to when I was 14 years old, and I went to work for a landscape company, and my job was on hands and knees picking weeds out of flower beds, and I wasn't very good at the time. I gave a lot of effort. Got to the end, you look back, didn't look so good. I had to be taught how to do it, and my effort was strong. My execution was not the best. Number 3, you're replaceable at work, not home. In the past 20 years, you think only you will remember how you worked so hard. Only your kids will remember how late you worked. There's a lot of truth to that. You're replaceable at home. You're replaceable at work, not at home. You got to attend to your business so you can get home to that family. So the only people who remember how late you worked are the kids, not the boss. Number 4, who you know beats what you know. There's a lot of truth in that. How many people have gotten through a door because of who they knew, who they're kin to, who they associate with, always looking for a break? And there's a whole lot of people that got to stay in those positions because of who they knew, not necessarily because of their execution. So building a network and nurturing it consistently is critical to your success. Who you know beats what you know. Number 5, careers aren't straight lines. There's detours, there's stop signs, there's mud puddles. You have to be willing and ready to enact and take a different Y in the middle of the road whenever that time comes about. Careers aren't straight lines. Skill and attitude. Skill and attitude mean more than a degree. This is number 6. Degrees aren't everything. And now back in our time, back when I say our time, growing up in the 1980s, it was education, education, education. Just like Nancy Reagan used to say, just say no to the drugs. And everybody was saying yes, yes, yes to the education. Now, in this day and age, 40 years later, a degree is not everything. Your skills, because first of all, this day and age, the workforce, the employment, they just hope that you show up. They just hope you show up and you give a little bit of an effort. That is where we are with so many jobs, especially in this country of the United States of America right now, is please just show up. It used to be just 90% of working is showing up on a regular basis. Okay. Number 6, degrees aren't everything. Number 7, loyalty is rarely a two-way street. Well, that goes along with a lot of things. I'm loyal to you as long as you can help me. That's where loyalty's at. You're loyal to me as long as I don't get in your way. That's where that's at. Loyalty is rarely a two-way street. Don't hold yourself back out of loyalty. In hard times, it won't be returned. You believe that?
I think it's definitely possible.
Yes. Now, also with loyalty, some people value loyalty with money. And as long as you're writing the checks, they're loyal to you. When you quit writing the checks, the loyalty is no longer there. And it doesn't matter whether or not you can no longer afford to pay that particular person. They're loyalties to you as long as you're helping them pay their bills. That is why loyalty is rarely a two-way street. Number 8, burnout will find you. And I agree to that 100%. Here in year 35 of doing accounting, I feel really good and really fresh about what we are doing within that particular office. But there have definitely been times when I said, I just do not have it in me to do this anymore. I can't go another day. Now you did. You had to refocus yourself and get your attitude right. But there's more than one or two times in a person's career when they wish they drove out, that they left the driveway and drove to somewhere else other than where they were going. That's why the place always has to be a happy place. But burnout will find you, and you got to figure out how to mentally deal with it, which is setting your healthy habits, which eventually will overcome the negativity of the burnout of when your mind and your body are telling you, maybe I can't do this anymore. So no matter how much you love your work, how much passion you have for what you do, burnout will enter your life. And that's when you've got to be ready to overcome. Number 9, comfort kills progress. You grow when you take risk, not when you play it safe. So when you are comfortable, you are probably killing your progress. Now, we have a lot of financial so-called experts in this world who say debt-free, debt-free, debt-free. And I've also heard many times, if you don't have any debt, you're probably not going anywhere. When you take out debt, that requires a risk, because now you have something that you have to pay back. And if you're not successful in what you borrowed the money for, then you are obviously at risk of whatever it is that you pledged to borrow this money. So if you're comfortable, you're probably killing your progress. That's why you got to stay focused, and moving forward at all times. That doesn't mean you go out and borrow money, but you have to take risk to grow. And playing it safe, Jason, there's a whole lot of people that won't get off the front porch. They're okay sitting there with the dog. So you need to be prepared for what the accolades are of doing nothing, and they're very slim. Number 10, you have to self-advocate. Speak up for what you need, because silence is always going to kill you. You've got to speak up. You've got to look for, you've got to advocate yourself. Self-awareness. You have to speak up when there is a need. You have to speak up when there is a need that you can help someone else with. By speaking up and someone else benefiting from it, I can promise you that moves you up the ladder in the career of success wherever it is that you're currently employed. Number 11. It's one of my favorites right here. You can't ever stop learning. If you aren't constantly learning, you're constantly falling behind. You're always learning. Every day when you get up, there's something new to learn. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that there is no such thing as neutral. You're going forwards or you're going backwards. And that all depends on what your effort and attitude wake up with on a daily basis. We all have the know-it-alls in our life. You may have even been one at one time yourself, including myself. But you don't know everything. You will never know everything. And you may know more than everybody around you, but you will never know everything. And you have to continue to learn every day. And if the people that you associate with, the current literature, the current doctrine that you have is not advancing your learning skills, then you need to find new resources. That's what that means. Number 12, the right feedback is critical. Don't shrink your feedback. It's necessary to grow when you get feedback. Don't always ask the person that you know is going to give you the answer you want to hear. That's what you have to work on. Is constructive criticism is what it's sometimes referred to. And people can't take constructive criticism because, first of all, they think they're perfect. And most always, they think that they're better than the person delivering the constructive criticism. You have to receive feedback to be critical. I go out and I find things all the time to try to figure out how to make this show of Money, Motivation, and Mike better than it was last week. And doing that through listening to other people. The way we start this show up is a way that I heard on a radio station back in 2022, and how they started their show up, and I mimicked that and took a little and erased a little and came up with where we are today. You always have to be learning and receiving that right feedback, and if you do, you'll progress. I would hope to think that in the going on 3 years, Jason, that's the reason our show has continued to rise on a weekly basis, is because we continue to try to make the show better. Obviously, you work on it a lot from behind the scenes that most people don't know about, and that's called because you're learning. We're all learning, or we're not. Maybe we're not, and then we fall backwards. So, learning, number 11, the right feedback is critical, number 12, and now to number 13. Balance isn't given, it's taken. Set strict boundaries or others will control your schedule for you. And there is a lot of truth in that statement. Lot. Balance is major. I have struggled big time in my life with balance, to a point where I felt that if I go to work, I go to the office, I make money, money will take care of everything. And buying a new car, building a new house, going on another vacation, whatever those things are, you always think that those kind of things take care of stuff. And balance isn't given, it's taken. And those kind of things don't make you more balanced. You have to be balanced in your workforce. You have to be balanced in your job. You have to be balanced with your home life. You have to be balanced with your R&R, your rest and your relaxation. You need to be balanced with your health, your workout regimen. But I can honestly say, with all those things right there, at once upon a time, the workforce was 90% of my balance, and I missed out on some things. Didn't miss any ball games. Didn't miss any practices, dance recitals, piano lessons, cheerleading, whatever the sport was. Didn't miss that stuff. But when it was over, I was right back to trying to make $1, and I was not balanced. And there was so many other things that needed to be done when you left the ball field, when you left the stage, whatever the activity was. Balance. It isn't given, it's taken. 14. Dream jobs are just dreams. Don't wait for the perfect job. You'll never find it. Your efforts also helps you make the job perfect. It also helps your dream job. You only create your dream job. But dream jobs in general are just dreams. You find a job that fulfills you and helps you grow, that is your dream job. Lots of people characterize a dream job with what the paycheck is on Friday afternoon. That's a financial need. That may not be the dream job. So many things go into a dream job. For example, I get a lot of passion on helping people save money and showing them ways to save money on the filing of their income taxes every year. In essence, that is part of a dream job. I wouldn't call it a dream, because you don't sit around and dream of those things, but it is a priority to you, which is also why you continue to learn, so you can pass that information on to other people. But if you sit around waiting for the dream job, you're probably going to be sitting around for the rest of your life. You have to be involved in making a dream job a dream job. 15. How people perceive you matters. I messed that up a little bit. How people perceive you matters. Now, I agree and disagree to this one. Early on, when you have no credibility within the workplace, within the job, within the business, within life, being a ball coach, whatever, early on, it is how they perceive you. But once you get credibility, once you get a following, the perception, and those same perception is everything. Perception, to me, is not as big of a deal as you get later in life, because people already know who you are. And what that means is, and in this particular example, it talks about online on the social media, doing the things you do, saying the things you say. And from that, when nobody knows you, Jason, have you ever heard that 80% of the people who see your post don't know who you are? And they perceive what they hear and read to be you. When I say it all the time, these text messages, these emails, these online posts can be taken in 14 million different ways. However you want to take it, you basically can go and argue that take. And that's where we get real confused on what someone's trying to do. It ruins relationships along the way when maybe that wasn't their intent. On the other hand, maybe it was their intent, and their perception of who you are, your perception of who they are, gets set. And you may not even know who, you guys may have never even shook hands or ran into each other in the general public. But because of the perception that you received from social media, they never want to have anything to do with you. And you might have the best product, the best cure that there's ever known to man, but it never comes into your life because of the perception that you developed by the things that you said and do. And in this particular case, social media online. It does make a difference. Yeah, I don't have any of that social media stuff, but obviously when you are with your friends or your family and they're talking about it and you just go, oh my goodness, what are these people thinking? What are they doing? I mean, that is there's more harsh and ugliness to that social media, all of the platforms to me, than there is any of the good. I know that you can go on there and really spread the word for the class reunion, the family reunion, a person running for public office, letting everybody know when the little league tryouts are. It does serve its purpose. But when you get away from that, it's vicious.
I think a lot of people feel safe behind the keyboard and they can say whatever they want to say, as ugly as it may be.
100%. That is so true. It goes along with texts. It goes along with email. It goes along with a phone. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're sitting on the other side of the country and you're chewing somebody out, and here it is, a customer service rep that you don't feel has done you correctly with whatever the issue is that you have with the product or service. You sitting here going to town on them, when if you had to walk into the department store and go to customer service, you probably wouldn't act that way.
Right.
And if you did, you'd probably have security called on you. But a lot of people hide behind that stuff right there. You're exactly right. Couldn't have said it better myself, and it drives me crazy. Because I'm still sit down and talk, shake your hand, look you in the eyes, and if you want to say XXXXX about me, that's great. But you say it to their face. And we can shake hands and agree to disagree, and I don't like you, you don't like me, blah, 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 blah. But man, when they get on that social media, and you're right, the number one thing is hiding. Go hide behind that thing. And that also goes back to the perception that you are building or defeating with yourself. How people perceive you matters. Number 16, time is far scarcer than money. Time is scarce. There's only 24 hours in a day. Some people make $7.25 an hour. Some people make $7,000.25 an hour. But no matter what it is you do within that 60 seconds, that 60 minutes, those 24 hours, that's all you have. And how you utilize it is what matters. It's why I have always struggled with getting enough sleep, because I am wasting time by sleeping, not realizing that if I get a good hour of sleep, how much more productive it makes you when you are awake. Where you need 6 hours of sleep, let's say, 8 hours of sleep, and you cut it back to 6 because you want to work 2 more hours. So by cutting it back to 6, not only do you work 2 more hours, maybe you work a sluggish 10 hours instead of sleeping those 2 hours and working a good, hard, solid 100% of the 8 hours. And you get more out of the 8 hours than you could the 10. And I've struggled with that big time. Time is, you've got to have time. And it is much more important than the money. We can re-earn money, but never time. You have to be stingier with your time than your money. And there's a lot of tightwads in this world, Jason. But you have to be extremely cautious and stingy with your time. And there's a lot of time I'd like to get back that is gone forever. So anyway, don't wait to figure these things out later in life. You need to get to work on them right now and get these lessons done the hard way by incorporating them into your life. The 16 truths, the harsh truths of your career, and obviously several of these fit into your life on a regular basis at home with the children, with the spouse, with the family, at the sporting event, whatever it is. Make sure you understand these truths and go back over them and over them, and do a scale from 1 to 5, and 5 being the best. How do you rate with realizing what these truths are? Money, Motivation, and Mike continues to try and bring you information that's uplifting and informative to you on a regular basis, which is exactly what we're talking about today with number 11. You can't ever stop learning. And we feel like we have a lot of things that we can bring to you that help you learn on this particular show. You can always contact us, info@mx3.vip, and find all of our content at mx3.vip or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of our new information, new episodes that come out every Monday morning around 9 o'clock. So for everyone who has been a part of this show, continue to live your life the right way.